The moment an avoidant realizes they lost you, this will happen. When you've been in love with an avoidant, you know the cycle all too well. They pull you close just enough for you to hope, then pull away when things get too real. They disappear, reappear, test your patience, and feed off the fact that you'll always be there waiting. But there comes a moment when that pattern breaks, not because they changed, but because you did. That moment is when you finally step back, not with anger, not with games, but with a calm strength that says, I'm no longer available for half love. And here's the truth. Avoidance may look calm when you pull away, but when they realize they've lost you for real, a shift happens inside them. At first, an avoidant convinces themselves they're fine. They tell themselves, good, I've got my space back. I can breathe again. They distract themselves with work, friends, or hobbies. They'll even rationalize the breakup by saying it wasn't meant to be. But underneath that surface calm, something begins to build. Because avoidants are not immune to love, they just fear it. And when the familiar texts stop, when they don't see your name light up their phone, when they sense your energy has truly detached, they feel an emptiness they didn't expect. That emptiness is the first sign that they're realizing what they lost. The second stage is subtle, but powerful. They start testing the waters. Maybe they send a casual text, hey, how have you been? Maybe they respond to an old social media story. These are not innocent check-ins, they're fishing hooks. They want to see if you're still there, if they still hold power over your attention. But when you no longer respond the way you used to, when you don't rush to reply, when you don't flood them with warmth, they feel something they rarely admit. Panic. For avoidance, losing emotional control is terrifying. And when you stop orbiting their world, they suddenly realize you were the anchor holding it together. Then comes the stage avoidants don't like to talk about, regret. This is when it hits them that the freedom they thought they wanted feels like loneliness instead. They start remembering the small things you did, the way you listened when no one else did, the calm presence you carried, the love you gave without conditions. At first, these memories are fleeting, but as days turn into weeks, those memories turn into a haunting. Because avoidants live with an inner contradiction. They long for love, but fear losing themselves in it. When they finally lose the one person who gave them love without chains, they realize too late that the loss is heavier than the closeness ever was. The fourth stage is what I call the silent spiral. This is when the avoidant, who once prided themselves on not needing anyone, begins to feel the quiet weight of your absence in their daily life. The coffee shop doesn't feel the same without you. The evenings are colder. The songs, the smells, the little routines, they all bring back reminders of what they pushed away. And here's the twist. Avoidants don't process loss the way others do. It creeps up on them slowly, quietly, until one day it crashes like a wave. That's when they admit, even if only to themselves, that they've lost someone they can't replace. Now here's where it gets interesting. When an avoidant realizes they've lost you, their pride battles their desire. On one hand, they don't want to admit they need you. On the other hand, the thought of you moving on, loving someone else, and giving that deep empathy to another person eats away at them. So they try to re-enter your life in ways that seem casual. Maybe they accidentally bump into you. Maybe they leave a like on a picture. Maybe they test your boundaries with a message at midnight. These aren't random. They're attempts to re-establish the connection without having to admit how much they want it. But here's the moment of truth. When you don't take the bait, when you don't run back into their arms, when you stand in your power instead of chasing their validation, this is when the real shock sets in. Because avoidants expect you to always be available. They thrive on the unspoken agreement that you'll be there no matter how far they pull away. The day that agreement breaks, they're forced to confront reality. You are no longer theirs to toy with. And that realization is brutal. What happens next is a mixture of jealousy and awakening. They start imagining you with someone else, someone who appreciates you, someone who doesn't push you away. And while they may not show it outwardly, inside, that thought burns them. Avoidants hate feeling replaced because it means they weren't as in control as they thought. That jealousy, that fear of being forgotten, often becomes the trigger for their biggest regret. They start thinking, what if I never find someone like them again? And deep down, they know the answer. They probably won't. Now we arrive at the final stage, the transformation. Not every avoidant gets here, but when they do, it's life-altering. After denial, after regret, after jealousy, comes something they can no longer escape: acceptance. And in that acceptance, the truth finally catches up to them. They stop running, they look in the mirror, and for the first time, they see the real reason they lost you. It wasn't because you were unworthy. It wasn't because you didn't give enough. It was because they couldn't handle the depth of the love you offered. Losing you becomes the mirror they can't avoid, and the pain of that loss becomes their teacher. Some avoidants stay stuck in that pain forever, replaying what-ifs in their head. But a few, just a few, use that pain to wake up, to face their fear of intimacy, to finally admit that the walls they built didn't protect them. They destroyed the one thing they secretly wanted most: real love. And what does this mean for you? It means that when an avoidant realizes they've lost you, it hits them far harder than you'll ever see. They won't always cry in front of you. They won't deliver some Hollywood-style speech. On the outside, they might even look fine. But inside, the storm is real. They feel the regret, the longing, the emptiness, the fear, and sometimes they'll try to come back, not because they're suddenly ready, but because losing you made them taste a truth they can't forget. But here's the difference. Now, you hold the power. Because when you stop chasing, when you stop proving, when you stop begging, you reveal something they never expected. You show them that love is not a cage. Love is a choice. And in that choice, you become unforgettable. But here's the twist. The moment an avoidant realizes they've lost you isn't just about them. It's about you. It's about the moment you finally see your worth wasn't tied to their validation. It's about the moment you break free from the exhausting cycle of push and pull. It's the moment you stop fearing the loss of them and instead embrace the discovery of yourself. That's the real victory, because whether they come back or not, you've already won. You've chosen strength over fear, self-respect over chasing, freedom over half-love. So yes, avoidants do realize when they've lost someone rare. Yes, it stings them more than they'll ever admit, but the real transformation is yours, because you've outgrown the game. You no longer wait on someone who runs. You no longer accept crumbs of connection. You no longer beg for scraps of love. You stand tall, whole, and unshakable in your worth. And that, more than anything, is what makes you unforgettable. Not just to them, but to anyone who ever gets the privilege of loving you next. And remember, your worth isn't defined by who walks away. It's defined by how you rise when they do. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on love, healing, and self-worth. Until next time, stand tall in your power.